Earthfall is a Left 4 Dead 2 inspired co-op shooter that unfortunately died on its arrival, like many others. However, there are a lot of great things about the game that were easily overlooked, like gameplay mechanics, graphics, music, atmosphere, but most importantly, the story. There's lore collects to find that slowly unravels the world building put into this game, and it's actually pretty good, which is why I made this video. Now, before we start, if you would like to learn more about Earthfall, feel free to check out my previous video talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the game itself. And if you find it hard to understand what I'm saying throughout this video, subtitles are provided. So without further ado, I present to you the complete story of Earthfall. Believe it or not, our story takes place only a few years from now, 2028 to be exact. However, in this timeline, technology has advanced a lot faster and has become more accessible to citizens in America, like self-driving cars, more efficient home security products, even state-of-the-art modern medicine in the workplace. A very bizarre thing that became mainstream in the future was 3D printing. A company by the name of Genie created a series of high-end 3D printers called the Workbench. Workbench 7 and 7 Pro to be their most recent models. Not only the Workbench 7 could 3D print food for the first time ever, but also carbon fiber-based firearms. Yeah. Now, of course, Genie made sure not to let things go out of hand. The Workbench 7 could only allow pre-designated plans downloaded straight from Genie, meaning that you had to get some kind of approval from the company, probably through some website or app, and any detected tampering would automatically disable the printer, along with having tracking devices and the user receiving legal penalties. 3 years later, on April 27, 2031, NASA announced at a press conference that the 3-kilometer-long C-type carbonaceous asteroid named the 2031 EV-12 would pass Earth on October 13th later that year. They stated that there will be virtually no risk that the asteroid will strike Earth, since it would be passing by just right outside the moon's orbit. An event would also be hosted in Big Bend National Park for people to observe the asteroid. But little did they know, their party was going to be crashed. That, and the rest of the world. October 13th had arrived. News and radio stations were all talking about the EV-12 2031 passing by. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Then the unexpected happened. Reports were being made that the asteroid was breaking into fragments? Immediately, pieces of the asteroid began to head straight towards Earth, hitting the eastern hemisphere first. As they were entering Earth's atmosphere, the fragments were causing electromagnetic pulses, shutting things down like smartphones, electric cars, computer and radio networks, etc. Once the US got word of the pulses occurring and what they could do, the FAA grounded all planes that would be caught in any of them. Whether they saved many lives or just delayed the inevitable, it was the smartest thing they did that day. 3 to 4 hours later, the President of the United States made a public announcement, stating that most of the major populated cities would be hit and probably flattened. He then apologized to everyone that they would all be dead within the next 6 hours. Especially with how fast the meteorites were moving, there was really nothing they could do. Workbench users then began receiving new plans on their printers for firearms, meaning that someone from Genie was preparing them for something. What exactly? No one had time to process anything before everything got shut down. Seattle was the first to get hit and completely destroyed, followed by other big cities in the US in no specific order. Days have passed, and no one knew what happened to the regions that were struck by the meteorites. The pulses have caused a worldwide blackout, preventing anyone from connecting with each other. The meteor was the beginning, and this was just the eye of the storm. It was not too long that rumors began to spread. Rumors of monster attacks coming from Seattle. As you would expect, most people didn't believe this. That was until the army sent out messengers on bicycles, along with Polaroids taken by other survivors, proving those rumors to be true. Inside the meteorites were aliens. Very hostile aliens. The police were the first to be overrun. They had little to no time to properly organize. And as for the army, the Poles took out most of their fancy equipment, so they had to stick with standard weaponry. But to make matters worse, there were aliens strong enough to rip their tanks and trucks completely in half. They were next to be overrun, then the National Guard. By the end of October, no one was coming out of Seattle. People then began to name this event Earthfall. The remaining survivors in Northwest of America began setting up a city of refuge, as that was their only chance of survival, being made up of only 2,830 people. This may have seemed as a war the human race would win, if it wasn't for the fact that they had one more thing up their sleeve: printers. As it turns out, they're one of the few things that survived the pulse, meaning that humans could have a better chance at fighting back. So, Refuge would send out recon teams to gather supplies and, of course, restore power to any printer they could find. Although, whenever someone were to restart a generator, it would somehow attract swarms of aliens in the area. It was only then for them to fully comprehend what they're fighting against. Using data collected from Recon's various encounters with alien life, a man named Jacob, along with other scientists, started a research and development group in Refuge, along with other R&D groups outside of Refuge as well. For some reason, these aliens decomposed rather quickly, making it harder for Recon to deliver for dissecting, so they would just bring a researcher along. The Light Drone, the most common alien humans have encountered after Earthfall. They usually search for any kind of animal protein to consume, mainly humans. Cellulose and other plant proteins don't interest them. That yellow gem in their head isn't an eye, but rather a brain, nicknamed Maxwell's knot, that reacts to radio waves and microwaves, allowing them to see or hear radio frequencies from powered devices. The Maxwell's knot both emits and receives electromagnetic signals, which is basically their only way of communicating with each other. An engineer by the name of Sanjay Malik discovered that when a drone detects a strong electromagnetic signal, they immediately swarm it. Theories say that they can see humans from short range through electrical impulses in our nervous system. Probably the most bizarre discovery was their DNA structure. It resembled the same DNA structure you would find on Earth, containing all 4 building blocks: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine, plus 2 unknown ones you wouldn't find in any life on Earth. Besides their DNA structure, the drones do share a few more things in common with humans. They can't stand bugs, they hate fire, but most importantly, they're vulnerable to guns. The easiest way to take one out is to aim for the brain.
Stay confident, and we'll get through this!
The Heavy Drone. Not as common or as smart as the light drones, but are still deadlier. They are bigger, faster, and stronger. They also have these fins on their head that protects their brain, requiring more precision to take one down. They can even sometimes withstand a shotgun blast. A discovery about the heavy drones is that whenever a light drone would die, the closest heavy drone would spray its stomach contents on its corpse. Another discovery was strange alien vegetation would just so happen to be growing where this unusual behavior would occur. The Spitter Drone. A more unique type of drone in comparison to the light and heavy, mainly for their appearance and their methods of offense.
Ow, ow, ow! God, I hate that stuff!
Now, instead of running towards their prey with the other drones, they stay outside the pack and spit green metaplasm from afar. And unlike a camel spit, theirs are able to dissolve your lungs.
Get this goo off me!
The Sapper. This huge green water balloon of an alien is full of poisonous gas and metaplasm, resembling some kind of sap, hence the name. It also shares the same base anatomy as the Spitter drones. Its behavior is to approach its target and attempt to do a kamikaze, basically self-destruct itself and poison anyone who's caught in its gas. And despite their appearance, sappers can climb just as easily as drones. Despite being toxic, sappers aren't that much of a threat. They're surprisingly light enough to be pushed far back before it explodes, and fire can prevent them from exploding at all. Recon members discovered buried remains of spitter drones and sappers nearby alien vegetation, resulting in a very soft soil around the area. This would become a bigger problem later on. The Thresher, the shepherd dog of the swarm. The Thresher can sense the direction of where drones are being killed and immediately go straight for the source, that being your head.
Thresher, watch out!
They tend to release a growl once they spot their prey, most likely creating some kind of adrenaline rush that allows them to pounce anything at such speed.
Get off of me!
Their dark, slick appearance makes it harder to spot them in dark areas. A survivor managed to shove a pipe wrench down the Thresher's throat while being pounced, but barely choked. A hand grenade would be much more effective in this situation, but it's best to kill it before it pounces anyone to begin with. The Whiplash. Now, unlike the previous aliens we've mentioned, the Whiplash doesn't immediately try to kill its prey. Rather, it grabs its prey by the head and carries it to a more secluded place where drones can easily finish them off. Almost like food caching. The Whiplash's mouth is covered with needles that paralyzes its prey, leaving them in a more calm, relaxed state of mind. Members of Recon have tried to obtain samples of the Whiplash's venom, but have failed due to it decaying within moments. The Enrager, the most bewildering alien discovered. Usually appears during the swarm and unleashes some kind of pulse that induces a high state of arousal in the drones. Drones caught in its pulse will glow bright red and become way more aggressive than they already are. Besides the fact that their pulse can trash any functional electronics, anything else about the Enrager is unknown since they violently explode upon kill, leaving nothing of it behind.
Scratch that Enrager!
I see the beast!
The Beast. The primary culprits for tearing down their army's defenses. If Threshers are the shepherd dogs of the swarm, then the Beasts are definitely the shepherds. Besides their raw strength and size that can rip a tank in half, they can expel bolts of plasma from a fully organic cannon that takes up their entire body cavity. It's almost as if they were created or formed for war. If so, who or what exactly built them? Nonetheless, it will take your entire team to bring down the Beast.
Beast! Bring it down fast!
They're fairly easy to lead into traps since they can only focus on one target at a time. And their plasma cannon is so big that it's semi-exposed on their back, leaving its insides vulnerable to firepower. When everyone thought these were the last of the aliens they would encounter, a new challenger would approach. The Blackout, the most recently discovered and fascinating alien of the swarm.
Blackout is spotted!
The Blackout can maneuver at incredible speeds, leaving ribbons of light in its path. Similar to the Beast, it uses plasma as its offense, but unlike said alien, the Blackout can protect itself with plasma-based shields. Just as a Blackout floats like a butterfly, so should you. Stay on your toes, memorize its attack and movement patterns, always aim between the shields, and of course, sting like a bee. Now that Refuge knew what they were fighting against, it was time to start preparing for war. Compact, lightweight, and great stopping power, all while spending 0 bullets. This modern-day styled fire axe is nearly perfect for fighting against the invasion, and favored by members of Recon. It may not reach as far as other melee weapons due to its short handle, but is definitely a problem solver for more crowded and close-up fights. The Combat Shovel, used for many scenarios when outside of Refuge, whether for burying waste, caches, or digging up one, carrying an alien artifact that may be unsafe to touch, or to simply bash a drone's head in. Any team leaving Refuge is required to carry this multitasking shovel. When weapon plans were being sent to printers moments before the pulse, the most common firearm plan downloaded to was the SW22A pistol. Can fire a total of 15 shots before having to reload. Learning to operate this pistol became a requirement for everyone in Refuge, mainly for its portable size, unheard of misfiring, and pinpoint accuracy. A more improved version of the iconic Desert Eagle Magnum, the Vendetta has a max capacity of 8 rounds and greater stopping power than the SW22A, although requires a higher level of experience to operate and more materials to fabricate, resulting in less use of it. Nonetheless, some Recon members still cache them whenever possible for their reliability.
Take it out! The Enrager is dead!
A commonly used firearm in the police force, the MP5X is a fully automatic submachine gun that features a simple reloading system and a red dot sight attachment. It was also a very common weapon plan downloaded, making it easier to come across during missions. The Berg 390 is your classic pump-action shotgun but with a slick touch, can hold up to 10 shells along with extra storage on the side. After Earthfall, this weapon helped the school cook lead the forgotten school children all the way to Refuge mainly for its widespread pattern. No matter where you aim, you're gonna hit something.
Gotta reload!
During a Recon member's first mission, he had discovered a rifle inside a sapper's corpse moments after popping it, that being an AK-47. Now, some citizens in America have held on to this classic assault rifle over the years, despite it not accepting any modern attachments, and along with the fact that it cannot be printed, it is just as strong and useful as its newer design. Something very unexpected Recon had discovered with the printers were plans for the AK-67, which were only exclusive in Russia. Now, this may have proved everyone's own conspiracies with the government to be true. This was still another advantage against the invasion. The AK-67 may possess great stopping power, but very few members of Recon use it since it requires a higher level of experience to use properly. Those who master its use will ultimately reap its rewards. The EF-18 is a more superior shotgun than the Berg 390. Fully automatic, a bigger ammo capacity, a tighter spread, and can clear out a swarm with ease, the EF-18 is a shotgun that packs a brutal punch. Used by the guards of Refuge, the Glintech sniper rifle is fully fabricated with a sniper scope and kickstand attachment, making it perfect for any long-range combat. Unlike most sniper rifles, the Glintech does not feature a bolt-action system, resulting in it being used in messy close combat scenarios. Chosen by the mayor of Refuge, Merriam Park, for any perimeter breach drills, the Combat CVA is a burst rifle made for any ranged combat. Whether for last-minute sniping or taking down a swarm, this rifle is a must for its reliability in any situation. The Harbinger, a heavy machine gun that holds up to 375 rounds per mag, has enough firepower to tear up an entire swarm in just seconds. However, its bulky model makes it almost impossible to holster it, let alone run with it in hand. Once Refuge discovered that fire was one of the aliens' main weaknesses, they knew that a flamethrower would be perfect for fighting back. The Reaper is a flamethrower constructed from the ground up by Recon support associate Blaze Pyro, who just so happened to be a fire performer and had their legal name changed for obvious reasons. Not only is it capable of setting many aliens ablaze, but can neutralize sappers without them exploding whatsoever. Due to the Reaper's complex reloading system, it's better to just drop it completely when it runs out of fuel. The Frag Grenade, your standard hand grenade that comes in a pack of 3, can be used to decimate many drones at once, or cause chain reactions with nearby propane tanks, or even shut down a blackout shield completely. Napalm, a pair of unique grenades that release and ignite a special napalm agents upon explosion, burning and consuming anything that walks into its flames. One of Refuge's mechanical engineers, Zara Praxis, created a landmine using a smart alien detection system that only aliens can set off, perfect for whiplashes, beasts, and the like. When Sanjay discovered that aliens are attracted to electromagnetic signals, he immediately saw this as an advantage and came up with the Baitnade, a simple smartphone wired to a brick of C4. Once activated, any nearby drones will swarm it but will be blown away by the C4's explosion. Started off as a simple home security product, the barricades became a core part of defense against the invasion. Although they're not completely indestructible, they can slow down the swarm just enough for crowd control. Scavengers have also managed to modify barricades with propane tanks, creating a fire-based defense system. One of Zara's other inventions, this mounted turret is completely portable, granting users more flexibility when setting up their base. The turret has a large ammo capacity and can take out numerous targets before having to cool down. Using the same alien detection system found in Zara's landmines, the auto turret is like eyes in the back of your head, nicknamed Muffin in honor of her cats. It may have a low ammo capacity, but knows how to use it wisely. This was it. Refuge had everything in order. Weapons, supplies, defense systems, printers, research groups. This was their opening window to strike back. They would then name themselves the Resistance. Alright, let's rewind time back to pre-Earthfall times. Jacob, the R&D guy we mentioned earlier, was friends with someone named Danny from Seattle. Danny was someone who would always say the world could be better and act on it, a very idealistic individual. Danny was always on the side without guns, whereas Jacob was pro-guns. Nonetheless, Jacob still accepted him as a friend. On October 13th, even before the 2031 EV-12 started to fall apart, Jacob sent photos of a strange storage unit full of supplies to Danny and several other contacts. No one really knew what it was for and mistook it as a missent message. After Seattle got hit and the army moved in, Danny was one of their messengers sent on bicycles to warn the rest of the country. But of course, that wouldn't last very long. A few days later, with only his backpack and torn up bike helmet, Danny came across a survivor named Roy, a fisherman with Coast Guard experience. Roy was surprised that Danny was still alive, especially in his current condition, so he took him in and immediately got along with Roy's children and his father, James. Now, there is no mention of Roy's spouse, but you can see him wearing a wedding ring in-game, so either he lost his spouse before Earthfall or from the aliens. As Roy learns more about Danny through his interactions with the kids, he started to realize that the only people left to do something were people like him and Danny. The army wasn't coming to save them, neither the police nor the National Guard. No one was. He needed to take the next step and find others. Before Roy left, Danny picked up a shotgun from James' old stash of guns and offered to come along. Roy asked, "You sure?" Danny replied, "Yeah, man." He had never felt so sure in his life. A couple weeks have passed. While Danny and Roy were exploring in the woods near Lake Sammamish, they both came across another survivor, Maya, a university student in biochemistry and an athlete. Maya was out training for the triathlon on Doomsday, completely avoiding the destruction, and living only on blackberries ever since. Roy was the first person she's seen since day 2 of Earthfall, so her first reaction was to attack him. They managed to calm her down, and allowed her to stay with them when they fell back to Roy's place. Sometime later, Roy found another survivor named Jonas in a backyard bunker. Not his, but one of Jonas's neighbors. He saw Jonas as a tech nerd who was a bit on the crazy side, so he was going to leave him where he found him, but still chose to tag him along. Once the entire group was settled down, Danny decided to do some exploring, but then he came across a shed that reminded him of something. The storage unit. Finally, the pieces started coming together. Somehow, Jacob knew what would come from the asteroid. The fragments, the aliens, the destruction, somehow he knew. After explaining to the group what he remembered, Danny began meditating, trying to remember what he saw in the photos Jacob sent. He then opened his eyes and said, "We have to go to Zippy's." Jonas, however, was on the skeptical side, since it was a ways off from their location, but Roy said they had to go search for more supplies in that direction anyways. Leaving his father and children behind, Roy, Maya, Danny, and Jonas headed out for Zippy's storage facility.
This guy Jacob left survival gear at Zippy's storage? Color me skeptical.
The place looks deserted. I hope that cache is still there.
The group arrived at the outskirts of a rundown neighborhood called Far Creek, as cutting through there would lead them straight to Zippy's.
I grew up in a place like this. There used to be a lot of places like this. What's its name?
I think I did track meets here in high school. Maybe it was Far Creek. Guess it doesn't matter now.
Despite nostalgia hitting most of the team, they continued to push forward. They would cut through the owner of the storage facility's property and venture through a bog to reach their destination. The main entrance was sealed off, so they had to find another way in. After finding the back entrance and fighting off a swarm, the supply cache was just in the team's reach. Unfortunately, the storage unit was protected by some kind of security system, which attracted even more aliens in the area. Thanks to Jonas' tech skills, he managed to crack the system and ultimately earned Roy's respect. Once the team investigated the cache, they were awe-stricken with what it contained. Equipment, maps, voice messages. Jacob was more than just prepared for the apocalypse. In fact, he had a whole group already camping in an underground data center. This was their next move, to unite with Jacob's team. There's a bit of a time gap between the first 2 missions. The team most likely returned to Roy's place to figure out how they're going to get to the data center in the first place. They just so happened to find a working car that barely survived the pulse and drove straight to Jacob's. But to be sure, only the 4 of them went to scout it out. On the way there, their car just so happened to break down in the middle of nowhere.
Whatever we do, let's do it fast. We've seen a lot of those things around here, and something tells me we're going to see a lot more soon.
We need something with wheels that wasn't wrecked by the EMP. That Waitley station up the road might have it.
Looks like some other people tried holding up here. Keep an eye out for anything they may have left behind.
That garage is better than nothing. We can turn on the power to the printer.
After getting the power back on, the team began searching for a working vehicle. An old exterminator van turned out to be their only option. The team would have to find a spare wheel in the junkyard, push the van to the garage, fill it up with the gas, go back to the junkyard to find a new car battery and install it to get it working again. Finally, they were back on the road.
Front door open and not guarded. I don't have a good feeling about this, guys.
We're not gonna stop here and turn around, are we? Let's see what's inside.
Once the team arrived, they were in shock to see the entire data center had been breached.
Jacob would have had a dozen fallback positions inside the fortress. And a back exit, too.
Whatever happened, it's quiet now. Stay alert.
To their discovery, Jacob's group was doing research on the aliens. Jonas then had an idea.
Okay, this is good. If we can get the generators and cooling back online, we can mine their servers for answers.
Once everything was up and running again, the team mined as much data as they could, and learned that Jacob's group had relocated at a place called Northcrest.
I can't believe this is what passes for treasure these days, but there it is. We've taken what we can get here, but there's more to find at a place called Northcrest.
I'm not sure we should go straight there. There's other people we need to be thinking of.
That's why we scouted out first. Carefully.
It's the way out! We made it!
Yes, we did it!
Fresh air and sunshine. Now, how do we get to Northcrest Rail Yard?
I'm pretty sure the old Sahamish highway is up ahead.
But before they could go there, Jonas found in the servers a supply bunker in a trailer park that was not too far from them, so they would head there first.
We should check out Sunnyvale Trailer Park off the highway. I saw it mentioned in the server data. There's a bunker full of gear there.
Okay, Sunnyvale Trailer Park, here we come.
They would have to take the old Sammamish highway, then cut through the forest since the rest of the highway was blocked off, only to find out the trailer park entrance was blocked off as well.
They really shut this place up tight. Scout around and look for another entrance.
Their only option was to go through the sewers. After breaking in and using thermites to open the doors, the gang finally had access to the bunker. Now all they had to do was head for Northcrest. As the team was getting closer to Northcrest, the air quality was starting to become unbearable.
Ugh, that stench is awful. I've never smelled anything like it.
This facility of Jacob's better have really good air filtering. Where the hell is it anyhow?
Whatever is in the air is in me now, and I don't like the way it feels. It's unnatural.
Let's get moving. The sooner we find these guys and make friends, the better.
What is that thing?
They would come across one of the asteroid's fragments that had completely derailed the train, but that alone wasn't the source of the air pollution, despite its foul smell.
Another meteorite. But a small one this time. I wonder if it fell at the same time.
At least it's not attacking us now. Except maybe with the smell. Like...
Ugh. Let's get away from this stench.
I remember that mark in the bunker. Maybe this isn't a wild goose chase.
The closer they got to the source, the heavier the alien's presence became. After stumbling across a rail yard, they discovered what was damaging the air.
Holy crap, check this out!
The whole rail yard was infested with alien vegetation.
That's what's happening to the air. This is worse than everything else.
Their only option was to neutralize as much of the alien vegetation they possibly could, mainly being the cocoons. Once they were rid of, the team came across another bandit hideout where they could try to call for help using flares. Thankfully, someone responded through the radio.
Hey, fellow humans. My name's Griggs. We saw your flares and we're warming up the chopper now. Sit tight and hold for evac. We'll get you to Refuge, our home base. And hey, welcome to the Resistance.
We are so totally screwed! There's a war coming!
All they had to do now was hold off for evac.
This is Griggs again. Looks like you've got company. I'm over the landing zone now. Get over here.
The team was then rescued by Griggs and were headed straight for Refuge. But then...
Hey, glad you made it. Let's get back to Refuge and debrief. My God, look at all that. I don't think this is our planet anymore.
Once they made it back to Refuge, the team will be promoted as a new team of recon, Roy being the leader of course. Most of the people in Refuge underestimated Danny. They thought his survival was pure luck and his idealism was his weakness. Out of everyone, the mayor of Refuge respected him for keeping that mindset, especially after everything he experienced from Earthfall. There'd be no Refuge if there hadn't first been the fire. Maya presented herself to their R&D group since she had a background in biochemistry. Sadly, she fumbled the collection of samples after being sent to gather new materials on site. She simply couldn't see or treat the samples as living things, so she was sent back to Roy's group. Now, as for Jonas, when they first arrived at Refuge, he wanted nothing to do with the group, so he parted ways. Roy and Maya tried to convince him otherwise, but he wouldn't listen. He would also try to avoid contact with Maya or the rest. It's never explained when this part of the story took place, but from what I understand, it happened after they made it to Refuge. The team decided to backtrack to their old hideout to reunite with James and Roy's children. Unfortunately, James had an injured leg, so he insisted on not going back with the group. Roy was devastated that they're going to leave James behind, until he pulled Roy to the side and whispered something to him the rest of the group couldn't hear. After that, Roy's face was stone cold through the entire journey back to Refuge. James is most likely deceased now. Roy's team would then be sent on their first official resistance mission to gather data from a scanner called the Early Warning Alien Detection System, EWAD for short. They would have to find the scientists who built it located in a small fortified town. As they were getting ready to leave, Jonas returned to Maya and explained that he may not want to do this, but he's the only person who can help. Asking her not to let him run away again, she accepted, and the team departed. The team made it to their destination, but of course the town had already been overrun.
Town sure was fortified, but in the end it didn't help. Just another dot wiped off the map.
Jacob's scanner means we could map out where the aliens are gathering and figure out why. Then we can finally start hitting them back.
I'm with you. Feels good to be in the resistance now, taking the fight to the enemy.
Wondering if the scientist they were looking for was still alive, they continued onward. Then, out of nowhere, someone reached out to them on the radio.
Hey out there! I'm trapped in the church. Get over here as soon as you can.
Whoa. Someone's still alive.
Immediately, everyone headed for the church.
I'm behind the vault door. Can you get it open? A beast tried to get in here and bash it shut.
However, the vault was completely jammed, making it impossible for the team to help him.
I think you're stuck in there.
Crap, I knew it! Well, my team is coming tomorrow, so I can hold out. And hey, my name is Sanjay.
That's right, the scientist was Sanjay Malik all along.
I'm Maya. Hey, do you know anything about a long-range scanner system?
Yeah, I built it. You'll need to activate the sensors before we can fire it up. But before I send you guys out there again, let's get that printer back online. It's got some experimental tech on it.
Get it together! Here they come!
After rebooting the printer, the team got to test out Sanjay's new weapon, the arc grenade. What makes this grenade safe around humans is that the human brain doesn't attract it, but anything using too much electromagnetism, such as a drone's brain. Some recon members have also modified barricades with these arc grenades. After reactivating the scanning sensors, Sanjay handed them a laptop to gather data from the sensors at the top of the church, along with fighting off a swarm.
Rock and roll! Here they come!
Once the data was gathered, he sent the team to deliver the laptop to someone named Grace at another research station.
Good luck, guys. Next time I see you at the Refuge, the first beer's on me.
I'm crossing my fingers that Sanjay guy makes it. He said his team will be back tomorrow. I think he'll be fine.
One road trip later, they made it to Research Station Alpha, located in a warehouse facility.
Let's get that laptop delivered. Sanjay's counting on us to make the handoff at the warehouses.
I heard about Grace when we were in Refuge. Said she's a genius.
I hope Grace is still alive and this doesn't turn out to be like the data center.
The entire place was fortified as a labyrinth to confuse any hostile alien. As they continued to venture through the warehouses, they triggered an alarm set for any potential invasion. The team disabled the alarm, which they would then be greeted with an unknown voice.
Hey, you must be the new guys. Welcome to the Resistance and thanks for bringing the laptop. We moved the lab to a safer spot. Check through the cargo yard to get you.
Knowing that Grace was still alive, the team fought through the oncoming swarms and neutralized the lingering blackout near the lab.
Dissected aliens? Check. Alien zoo? Check. Totally sweet biolab that could save humanity? Check.
After giving Grace the laptop, she explains that she would need to activate a high-powered burst analysis, which would cause a huge swarm in the process. Thankfully, the printer in Grace's lab had Sanjay's latest invention, the Valkyrie. Using shards gathered from the meteorites, the Valkyrie is a state-of-the-art weapon that can completely consume aliens from head to toe. After the analysis was complete, Grace discovered an origin point coming from a carbon mine. Roy accepted the data stick and they headed for the escape vehicle.
Nice work, team. See you on the other side.
Once they made it back to Refuge, Recon began planning on how to attack the origin point. Blowing up the mine was out of the question since carbon was the base material for printing resources, so they would need to draw as many aliens away from the mine. Roy and his crew volunteered at Strike Force B to set off a diversion for Strike Force A by restarting a local dam's turbine system.
We need to get to the dam. Team Alpha is going into the alien base in 2 hours, and we've got to create a massive distraction.
Alpha is counting on us. They're taking a big risk. We have to pull this off.
Between Sanjay and Grace, we finally have a real shot at hitting the aliens hard. Go Science!
Today's the day we take the fight to the enemy. I'm tired of playing defense. Let's roll.
As the team got closer to the river, they discovered plenty of alien cocoons next to the dam, so their diversion would be even bigger than planned.
My God, this is even better than we thought. We fry those cocoons and every alien in 20 miles will be heading this way.
As soon as they blow, we gotta call that boat captain from the fish hatchery and get the heck out of here.
I sure hope Alpha succeeds.
And if Alpha goes down, it'll be our turn.
Once the dam was back online, they channeled the breaker directly towards the cocoons and destroyed them all.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Every alien around here should come running. Let's get to the fish hatchery and call our ride.
They then made their way for the extraction point at a fish hatchery. Unfortunately, as they were traveling to support Strike Force A at the mine, they received devastating news.
Hey Alpha, this is Beta. We just got off the boat. What's up?
Beta. Oh, thank God. This is Griggs. I'm all alone. Everyone else is dead. I'm pressing on, but I need you to get in here.
Don't give up, Griggs. We'll get there as quick as we can. I know you can do it.
This place, I don't know what it is. I saw alien structures, maybe some kind of factory or something. Whatever it is, we need to blow it up and shut it down.
Alien structures? They can build things?
Wow, we've never heard of anything like that before, but we can definitely help. Where are you right now?
I'm down in the mine. Listen, on your way here, we passed a bunch of pools that gave off sapper gas and had aliens crawling out of them. We left satchel charges, but had to bug out before we could use them. Blow those things up for me, okay?
It'll be a pleasure. Stay safe, Griggs. We're coming for you.
Understood. Over and out.
The sapper pools were a result of the buried alien remains we mentioned earlier, which was just another way for them to repopulate. Strike Force B blew up the remaining sapper pools and arrived at the entrance. However, it was blocked off by a buildup from an alien shard.
There's another meteor shard and it's keeping the entrance sealed. Maybe we can find some tools in that building. See that drill? Let's use it on the shard. Drill started. I think it's about to get really busy around here.
Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, here they come!
I see the blackout!
After cracking the shards, they made their way into the mine. When Strike Force B entered the carbon mine, it was already too late to save Griggs.
Griggs, do you read us? We've entered the mine.
Hey, I'm hurt pretty bad. You gotta finish the job we started. We'll need a bunch of drills to knock out the big structure we found.
Okay, we'll take care of it. Keep up your energy.
It's okay. We hit them hard today, and we're not done yet. I'm just glad I get to go out fighting.
No, come on. Don't give up. We'll find those drills and be there in no time.
My legs are gone. I got a bait grenade and a sack of charges ready. I hear them. Come on, you freaks! Santa's got toys for all of you!
Wait! Griggs!
Ah!
Griggs! Griggs!
There's nobody left out here but us. We have to finish this shot.
Griggs? Oh man.
I can't believe he's gone. They're all gone. It's our mission now. We gotta do this.
Fighting off a Class Omega swarm, the team gathered all 5 drills with a minecart and continued to fight their way towards the elevator that took them straight to the alien structure.
I know we can do this. For our friends, for our families, for everyone.
Danny and Maya had become quite close throughout their adventure. The reason why both of them are still part of the group is because of each other. Roy and Jonas never really got along, but they both respected each other's values. Now, their teamwork and dedication would all be put to the test.
Wow. This must be the alien factory Griggs told us about.
As explained by Griggs before his passing, they would need to use the drills to crack the shards as they were the alien structure's power source.
Company's coming. Hold them off.
This structure was built by no alien, or at least none of the aliens we've discovered so far. Nonetheless, the team got the drills going and shut down its defenses.
Time to call the chopper. Fire off those flares.
They then called to evac with some flares, which would then drop a bomb to destroy the structure. But of course, they ran into a problem.
I need some help up here. The release class is jammed and I can't drop the bomb. Shoot it off. Nailed it. I'll pick you up at the clearing and we'll detonate the bomb from there.
Everybody get to the chopper for evac.
After being picked up by the helicopter, they pressed the button and destroyed the structure.
Let's blow that thing! Who wants to press the button?
I want to do it.
Aw, who did that?
And now, our story finally comes to an end. Everything we learned, from an advanced distant future to an unexpected alien apocalypse, to a complicated alien species to a detailed arsenal of weapons, all concludes with none other than a cliffhanger. After our heroes returned to Refuge to debrief, a question arose regarding the alien structure. But now, who the hell built it? And unfortunately, we may not ever know, due to the circumstances the game faced. Now, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it definitely wasn't a good idea to release the game with an unfinished story. I mean, reading the lore really got me all hyped up for nothing.
But remind us of the release date?
Yeah, this Friday the 13th, so July 13th. It's going to be a lucky day for you.
That's a great day
for us.
And for those wondering about the Inferno mission, the third campaign is called Tales of the Resistance, which could imply that it may not be canon or whatever. Anyways, it's about our protagonist having to clear alien vegetation interfering with Refuge's water supply during some wildfire. However, they would come across spitter drones and sappers that have harnessed fire within their bodies. Now, this raises several questions because we already know that fire is one of their weaknesses. As for the invasion missions, the gang sent to Raven Roost to investigate some kind of activity, most likely picked up by Sanjay's scanner. Judging by the skybox, they probably noticed the alien presence was coming from a nearby nuclear facility. After cleaning house, they would be sent on another mission to deliver explosives to collapse a mine that's a major hotspot for aliens. The last mission takes place at Grace's lab, and from the looks of it, it's probably a lost cause. So after the team gathered whatever useful things they could find, they would then have to hold out for evac. Finally I'm done. Oh my goodness, that was a lot. Like, way harder than my previous video. Well, all I can say is that I wasn't expecting a small game like this to have this much world building in it. And with that being said, I can finally put this video, and hopefully this game behind me. And yeah, thanks for watching.